Okay, so just going to look at conditional probability, but with a two-way table. So here we have women and men and their permanent and casual employment. So find the probability, this is part A, that someone has permanent employment given that they are a woman. So you could do that just by looking at this, and then I'll show you with the formula. So given they're a woman, that they have permanent employment, that would be 23 out of. Now if you add 23 and 79, you get it out of 102. So it'll be out of 102. Okay. And if you just add the males up, that's also 102. So altogether we have 204 people. So because that first one, we're just interested just in the women, because that's what it says there, given that they're women, that would be your probability. Okay, if you use the formula, it'd be the probability that they are permanent and women over the probability that they're women. So permanent and a woman would be 23. Permanent and a woman would be 23, but it'd be out of 102. And then you put that over the probability that they're a woman, which is 102 over 204. Okay, and when you... Sorry, just a little mistake there. This here, the 23, permanent and woman, when you're using conditional probability, that should be out of the whole total. So permanent and a woman should be 23 out of 204. And the probability of just being a woman would be 102 out of the total, which is 204. Okay, so that ends up being 23 on 102, which is actually the same answer as before. Okay, so if you look at part B, has a casual job given that he is a man. So has a casual job given that he is a man. Okay, so if you went from here, you'd go to given he's a man, and having a casual job would be 64. So it should be 64 on 102, 32 on 51. If you did it using the formula, you go casual and a man over the probability is a man. So both of these have to be out of the total, which is 204. So casual and male would be 64 over the probability that is a male. So that would be 102 on 204, which gives you 64 on 102 or 32 on 51. Okay, so the next one is a man given the person has a casual job. So this one's much easier with the formula, I think. So probability, he is a man given he has a permanent job. So that's the probability of male and a permanent job. So male and a permanent job, that would be 38 on 204 out of the probability you have a permanent job. So the probability you have a permanent job would be, if you did 23 plus 38, 5. Is that 61? 23 plus 38. Yep, 61. That's going to be 61 on 204. So that ends up being 38 on 61. Okay, and looking at the next part there, D is a man. So the probability that it's a man given that they have a permanent job. So man and permanent job over the probability of a permanent job. So male and a permanent job would be 38 on 204. And probability they have a permanent job. So a permanent job would be 23 plus 38. Okay, I take this back because this one here, male and have a permanent job, that's actually D. And I'm doing the same thing again here. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to do C, which is the probability is male, it's this one here, and has a casual job. So male and casual over the probability of casual. So you're just going to use the rule. So male and casual, that would be 64. So it's 64 on 204. We can get that from there. And then over the probability of C, which is the probability of just casual, which is 102 on 204. Okay, so it ends up being 64 on 102, so it's 32 on 51. Okay, a group of 35 friends, all who either play sport or a musical instrument. So this is like a Venn diagram one. And 14 play both, and 8 only play sport. Okay, so 8 only play sport, 14 play both, so put 14 in the middle. And what are we doing? Sport or music? 8 only play there. So you've got 8 plus 14, which is 22. So 35 minus 22, which is 13. And see, that all adds up to 35. Let's just check it. So 14 plus 13 plus 8 gives you 35. Okay, so now let's just use that to answer the questions, realising that in total there are 35. Because when you do the condition probability formula, it is out of the total. So probability, they play a musical instrument, given they play sport. So that would be the probability musical instrument and sport over the probability of just sport. So the probability of a musical instrument and sport would be 14. So it's 14 out of 35. And the probability that they just play sport would be all of this here. So that's going to be 8 and 14, which is 22. So it's going to be 22 over 35, which gives you 14 on 22, or 7 on 11. Okay, and let's just look at B. So B is the probability that they play no sport, given that they play a musical instrument. So that's the probability of no sport and a musical instrument over the probability of a musical instrument. Okay, so no sport and a musical instrument. So what does that mean? So if you play no sport and you play a musical instrument, that would have to be 13 people. They don't play sport. They don't play sport, but they play a musical instrument. That would have to be 13 of them. And that would be out of 35. Then we do the big fraction bar and we do the probability that they play music. So there's 14 plus 13. 14 that do both and 13 only do music. So that would be 27 on 35. And that ends up being 13 on 27 as your probability.